Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for It Looks Like You're Writing a Cover Letter with Some and Starting to Interview. This is the first of the second season of How Can I Help? Before we start, I have a few quick things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We ask that you be kind and respectful to everyone, including our speakers. We want the reactors to be a place everyone feels welcome. Please ask questions using the live YouTube or Twitch chat. In the chat, we'll also be sharing some links to the Reactor Meetup page and monthly newsletter if you're interested in checking out some other sessions we have coming up. If you haven't already, please check in using our event check-in at aka.ms/reactor check-in with event ID 14631. We will be recording today's session and it will be on our YouTube page in about 24 to 48 hours. And finally, near the end, I will be sharing a link to our Reactor survey. If you have a few minutes, we greatly appreciate your feedback. I will now hand it over to Chloe and Gwen.
Slapper.
It's time. It's time for my favorite show, my favorite song. Shout out to my dad, Frank Condon, who said he song on the show with Gwen. Gwen, how you doing?
It's quite the week for us, isn't it?
It is Ignite. We are.
There's something's going on, right? Something.
I feel Ignite is in the air. There's a vibe. I'm actually kind of surprised we're streaming today. When I realized we were streaming during Ignite, I thought, will we get any viewers? Will people care? Will they want to watch what we're doing? But yeah, how's your Ignite been so far, Gwen?
A lot of cool things that I can't wait to get my hands on, play around with. A lot of cool stuff announced. You had a fantastic session that I caught almost all of it. I know that you have the Clippy source code on your desktop.
Oh my gosh. For anybody who doesn't know what Gwen's talking about, I actually still have it on my computer. I had to clean up my desktop to prepare for my Ignite talk this morning, and I just put everything into a folder. And as you can see, I have this. This is not actually. This is just like literally all my files that I like dumped in one file. But I was like, will anybody notice this? Like,
Oh,
will
we
it
noticed.
happen?
The chat was asking about that. Yeah.
I wanted it to be subtle. I almost wore a shirt that I made that had Clippy on it, but I was like, too much. I gotta be subtle about it. But yeah, had baby's first Ignite talk this morning. I was kind of nervous. I never get nervous for talks, but there was something like 2,000 plus people who tuned
had
in
a
for that stream.
Proper large venue of people just watching you. Isn't that insane? How does that feel?
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever like performed live in front of that many people, but it was kind of one of those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't like mess up or anything. But it went great. Nothing, my demo didn't break. I did a little prayer to the demo gods beforehand. My computer didn't break down. Also, oh my gosh, we had such a funny comment here from Mike. Evening all. I hope you sorted out your personal gas problems.
Oh my.
Chloe. So for anybody who missed us last week, I would like to clarify. Very funny, Mike. So literally, Gwen and I were prepared to stream. It was a sensible Tuesday. Gwen, explain what happened, because I want to know your perspective of what happened, because it was terrifying.
I gotta say, I think both of us were having. It was a day that day, right? It was, like, we were happy that the stream was about to happen because we needed just a break. We're like, let's just hang out, let's stream. And then literally, I think maybe like 15 minutes before, we just heard like the announcement, like, you need to evacuate now. I'm like,
there is a gas leak in the building. I was like, oh God.
And you were just like the chillest ever. You're like, all right, I'll be back, I guess. I'm like, I would be losing my mind.
Okay, to be fair, I was like, at first I was like, okay, like, it's fine. But then I was like, I've never heard this announcement before. Cut to me running downstairs, grabbing a backpack. I don't even know what was in the backpack, because I was like, we need to like go across the street. Like, this building's going to blow up. It ended up being fine. I got a matcha. Everything ended up sorting itself out. But shout out to PG&E for causing an accidental gas leak in my building. But I survived, and we're back. And because we canceled last week, we figured today would be kind of like a
double
combo episode.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yeah, tell us in the chat where you're joining us from. We've got another Australian in here. I was going to do my Australian accent, but I was like, not going to. I actually did a musical once, Xanadu, where the character is supposed to have a bad Australian accent. And the reviewer for it said her Australian accent was really bad. And I was like, yes, it worked. But I was like, also, they didn't get it. It was supposed to be bad. So I won't hurt your ears with my bad accent.
I'm digging this one. Vibes are currently that needs to be on a t-shirt.
That's merch. That is merch. Gwen and I came up with some merch, which is like, I can't deal with this right now. I need to learn blank. So like now when we're stressed, we're like, I can't deal with this right now. I need to learn Python. Like other things to do in my life. I can't do this right now. I have to learn how to do cover letters.
Yeah. We got to come up with that merch there. I'm curious also the chat, just quickly tapping back into Ignite, if anyone's been watching and what are you excited about, all that kind of stuff. I was like geeking out on conference stuff, so let me know.
Yes.
Chloe, you put the B in subtle.
Thanks, Brendan. Yeah, and merch coming soon. I mean, Gwen and I, we've just been coming up with all this merch.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Ooh, Sacramento. I'm a former Sacramento. Grew up there. East Sacramento. Where? Egypt. Oh my gosh.
Wow. We got some Washington D.C. in here as well.
San Francisco,
Redmond.
Ooh, Redmond, Miss Redmond. I saw. I don't know if folks saw that I'll bring it up and I'll share my screen. But whoever's running the Microsoft Instagram account.
You mean it's not you?
Okay, it's not me. Everyone thinks it's me because there's a lot of Clippy content coming out of it. But they were posting some very fun Halloween posts. And they did one that was like, guess where this is? And it was like a spooky Redmond. And I miss Redmond.
Can we I was talking about this last week with someone else, but can we just acknowledge the icon that Clippy is? That everyone used to make fun of Clippy, but Clippy is just an icon, pop culture icon.
Absolute icon. Oh my gosh, look
Icon.
at this. Look at these ghosts outside the Redmond
I
campus.
saw this. This was amazing.
Spooky. They also did this skeleton. I don't know which campus is this. Scotland, Cambridge. People are guessing in the chat. If you're not following the Microsoft Live account, highly recommend. Some very
Whoever-
good content. Whoever you
is-
are, it's not me. I swear. I'm like, I wish that I ran it. Oh my gosh! But did you see what? Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, I'm a huge Clippy fan. It's a huge part of my brand. And anytime the Microsoft account tweets something, hence why we have our little Clippy mascot above Gwen's head here. Anytime they tweet something, they're like, someone will comment without fail, there's no way Chloe Condon does not run this account. And today I got tagged in one that honestly I had to double take. I was like, did I make this post?
I saw that. I always think of you whenever I see Clippy.
I don't run it. It's not me. This one. Is it for me? Is for me? I want to make this my desktop background. I'm going to save this image right now.
It's so cute.
Save image.
It's for me. I saw someone quote retweet. It's like, there's no way this isn't Chloe or something like that.
I really don't. I wish I did because I wish I could take credit for some of this content. It's a lot of
most of it slaps. Look,
and also,
Chloe.
Gwen, you've not worked here during the holidays. They make like Clippy holiday cookies on the account and stuff.
Ooh, I can't wait. Can't wait. I'm a big fan. Look at this comment. Look at this. This is iconic.
My heart. We need a name for our fans. On Beep Boop, we had our BBs. I feel like, let us know in the chat what as fans you want to be called. We just appreciate you all so much. We have so many return guests, repeat guests in the chat that I noticed here.
Merch line.
Ooh, Mike says,
"Oops,
the new container apps.
There we go.
Look pretty sweet. I didn't see those.
I saw that. Yeah, I'm actually dying to play with this, so I'm probably gonna once we're done with this, probably hop onto good old Azure portal.
What is that? Is it like containers, I guess?
Serverless containers. If you're familiar with Google Cloud Run, which they're sort of like the best of the best in terms of this kind of services, it's sort of similar to that. Its implementation seems pretty neat, so I can't wait to to get into it. Hi from the Moon. Hi from the Moon.
I watched a little bit of For All
Universal.
Mankind while my boyfriend was watching it the other day. Moon must be great right now. Great temp. Whoever is running it. Yeah.
Colorado. I need some Clippy jewelry. Clippy has the eyes of someone who's done some time on help desk. Oh, I would know because I have those eyes too. Seen some things.
So for anybody who's never joined the stream before, welcome. We don't just talk about Clippy the whole time, we promise. You can see you probably see the title of the stream and you see what Clippy's saying over here, which is, it looks like you're writing a cover letter. How can I help? But this stream literally was inspired by Gwen and I both coming from kind of non-traditional paths into the tech world. But regardless, just like having some very shared interest in helping people interview and get into this space. So Gwen, what have we covered so far on this show? We've covered so much ground so far.
We did a lot of, we have a LinkedIn update. We'll dive into that.
Let me cue that up.
We've done some LinkedIn stuff. We've done some resume stuff. We've done some, just overall sharing our stories as people who have interviewed and been interviewed and things like that. We had a guest. Was that last session or the session before?
It was technically the last one because we didn't stream last week.
Right. Jeff Leet. We went through sort of putting together a resume with based off of your LinkedIn and things like that. That was fantastic. That was last season, and like we mentioned, we're going to double up today and cover some cover letter stuff, and then intro our next season for the series, which is all about interviewing. So our goal is to sort of follow this progression as to, like, think about it as like when you want to get a new job, you got to start with, you got to get your documents and your paperwork in order, right? So that's resume, cover letters, and then you got to actually prep for the interviewing aspect of it. So it's like, your phone screening, your on-site, your whiteboarding, all that kind of stuff. So this season for this month is going to be focused on that aspect of it.
Gwen, you just gave me an idea because I've been learning about blockchain. I was like, you could put your resume on the blockchain.
Ooh.
Okay, but this is not a blockchain stream. I digress. Gwen teased a so I sent this. So, Gwen and I, we're friends outside of work. We send each other memes all the ding
All
dong
the
day.
time.
But a huge breaking news, y'all. Breaking LinkedIn news. I sent this to Gwen and I was like, we gotta talk about this on the show. New LinkedIn feature. We, of course, if you've not seen any of our previous streams and you're like, who the heck are these people? This lovely little link down here, aka.ms/how can we help, the letter U, stuff there as well. You can watch all our previous episodes there where we dive a lot deeper into like who we are, what we do, what all the LinkedIn stuff. So if you want to watch our LinkedIn episode, go check that out. But y'all, let me show you this. Look at this. I logged into my LinkedIn the other day and this tooltip showed up and it was like, introduce yourself with 30-second video. What if I just put this clip as my 30-second video?
Whoa. Very meta, but I think it would work.
I think it would work as well. But I jokingly said I wanted to upload an 80s power ballad. Because I feel like that's like, I was in an 80s cover band in college. It's not on my LinkedIn though. It should be on my LinkedIn. But you can now add, there was also another feature I think that I saw the other day where maybe it's like you can stream to LinkedIn, which I think you're doing right now. Let us know if you're joining us from LinkedIn.
Very cool to hear. Chloe, question for you. Mark asks.
Mark, I feel like you said this on Twitter, right? Someone suggested this to me on Twitter, and I do think I want to do this because if you know me, I love a good Rickroll. I used to have a demo using Azure Functions where it was a fake boyfriend app that would call you, and because the Twilio API's documentation has a Rickroll built into it, I was like, I'm just going to keep this in here. Mark, I think you're onto something, and I think I'm going to do that. So put a pin in that. Next episode, I will show. That's a tune in next week to see what I put as my LinkedIn video.
I definitely need to try this too. But Chloe, would you recommend this feature for everyone, or like, maybe some pointers as to who should do it or what should be covered in this 30-second video?
So that's a good question because I feel like, my first thought is how can people abuse this tool? Because that's what I think.
Absolutely.
Anytime I see something like this. So really hope the engineers at LinkedIn are thinking through that. So this is really interesting, Gwen, because I have a dear friend, shout out to Matt, who I used to work with at Sentry, who's obsessed with LinkedIn. He's a total LinkedIn power user. Mm-hmm. And I was asking Matt, like, oh my goodness, did you see this feature? And I think that, in the same way that you really want to like present yourself in the best light, literally and figuratively, right? Like, when we talk a lot on this show about how your resume and your cover letter and your LinkedIn are really the only thing that people have to go off of who you are and what you do when you're not in the literal room, or I guess in the year of 2021 virtual on-site. So good question, Gwen. I think there's a lot of important things. Maybe we can even talk about that as people who do video content, kind of some best practices on lighting and sound, and you want to make sure if you're filming something like this and it's the first, they say like first impressions are like such a big deal for like knowing if, not even just for interviewing, just like getting vibe check, like how you interact with a person. But what would you put, Gwen? Because I feel like I'm gonna use this feature in I'm gonna rickroll someone, but what are you gonna do?
I might try to take it seriously. No, but in a fun way. I think I did once over the summer, like when I joined Microsoft, I did sort of like I grabbed every single one of my videos. This took forever, but it took like a second of me saying like the same word in every video. But then it was interesting because it was like some of it was like screen recording, some of it was my face, some of it was like something on the screen, like anything like that, right? Yeah, but you very much got an idea of like what my channel was about. So it was like a trailer, but like a mega trailer, I guess. And maybe I'll just do that, and then the last couple of seconds I'll be like, hi, my name is Gwen, and I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft or something like
I
that.
want it to be like, that slaps, that slaps.
That's slapper.
Mine's like, clippy.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be really cool because I didn't even think of like editing it. For some reason in my head, I was like, oh, to be one cut. But like, that's really interesting because you could almost use this as, we called it as actors, what do they call it, Brendan North? A demo reel, I guess, where like it's sort of a highlight reel of like all your work. So you could put some kind of best of moments of if you do content. But if you don't, here would be my tip. If you're not someone who does typical live stream content like the two of us do, a couple things worth noting. Lighting, let me show you. Lighting, important. Background is important. Make sure whatever is behind you. I have a green screen here that is kind of wonky right now, but I've seen many a person stream or do a video where there's something inappropriate in the background. Clean all the dirty clothes out. Don't have any paraphernalia behind you.
Angles.
Angles are important. Don't do what my dad does when he takes a video call with me. Like, make sure you are literally. Oh yes, Brendan North said, figurative light, very important. Literal lighting, also huge and important. Basically needs an entire class, which literally, as someone who has a theater degree, I did take an entire class in lighting design, so I feel very lucky in that way. But look at the difference, y'all, between like when I light myself like this, I look like I'm in a spooky movie, and when I put my light like over here, like night and day, no pun intended, difference. Or even natural light can make a really big difference. I have some windows open over here. Ooh, Emmett says, couldn't you use that video to show off projects, just even screen grabs?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe like a sort of like slideshow style. But I mean, you also have to keep in mind, like, you only have 30 seconds. So, and I'm like, what's the format? Is it like a vertical video thing? Is it like a normal, like YouTube aspect? Like what are we working with? I'm not 100% sure either.
I kind of want to play with it. Maybe if we have time later, we'll play with it live. I'll record it live. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, can you upload something? Like, cause I mean, I can always do a Rickroll live. Like, what if it's just me and I'm just sitting there and then all this starts playing?
You know what's
so many ways.
Cool, Chloe? I got to show you this. So if you go to my LinkedIn, and since I'm live on LinkedIn, it literally, instead of my banner, it shows a live video.
Yeah, I want to see. What is your... Wait, link me in the... Hold on, let me open it over here. That's cool. So it's almost like a story, sort of.
I just sent you in the private chat.
We're connected. We connected on LinkedIn.
Also, I just got my Made by GPS custom URL on LinkedIn. So now I'm like same username across all my social media, and I'm so excited about that.
I was there for this moment, y'all. It was a huge moment, and I was just so happy for Gwen because we started that conversation by me saying I every day check if Chloe Condon on Instagram's boyfriend has proposed to her so I can get my handle. Okay, let's look at this.
Do you see that?
Whoa!
Isn't that cool?
Oh my gosh! It's me! Okay, it's kind of delayed. Maybe I'll see myself raising the roof in a little bit. That's very cool. Ooh, and it's saying what I'm saying. There's subtitles.
If you happen to go to my LinkedIn when I'm live, like, you'll actually be able to see what I do, like, right there. I think that's pretty neat.
We should drop a link to your LinkedIn in the chat. I'll do that right now.
All right. And then what kind of lighting do you use?
Ooh, what do you use, Gwen?
I use an Elgato key light. I would show you if I could, but like if I turn it off, I think it makes it
There's me raising the roof. It happened. It's on a slight delay.
But a ring light, like a standard ring light would work. It's like, I think there's like lots of lighting options out there, but the biggest difference is just understanding what to do and how to place lights, which is sort of hard to like give you like a crash course on it without you actually playing around with it. I did at my previous gig, they sent us lighting and they give us like a week course basically on how to like place them, because we did a lot of like recorded video content, but it was extremely frustrating. But what I'm trying to say is lighting, there's so many options out there, and don't think like you have to get the most expensive thing. Really, it's more about figuring out where to place it correctly.
My lights are literally I guess you can't really see it, but mine, let's see if I can turn off. I can't really turn off my green screen here, but maybe I can put it in front of my face so you can see it. It's like this kind of cheap light, but it's on a metal arm, so I can kind of like angle it. It also has a separate holder for my phone if I'm doing any streaming with my phone. But also, Jamie, I bought a very cute, I can link you if you send me a DM on Twitter. It's this circular light. I think it was like pretty cheap, that has little panda ears that you can put a phone in. And I think it was like probably less than $15. And I use that often when I'm like streaming in other parts of my house, like not my desk. I'm trying to find, I had a little tooltip to upload a video. Now I'm not finding it.
Maybe is it something strict to the mobile? Was it mobile app or was it on?
Oh, was it? Let's see. Maybe it was. Ooh, that's interesting.
Here's a LinkedIn question. Why is no one thought to pull from LinkedIn profile and resume to auto-generate an AI cover letter? Patent alert.
That I feel like, okay, so we're talking about cover letter. This is, Michael, thank you for that great segue. That's a good question. Michael, definitely patent that. I would say, so Gwen and I were talking about this before the stream, and if you're just joining us now, this is our episode where we talk all about cover letters because I had a gas leak in my apartment last week.
Personal gas problems.
Yeah, it was dramatic. But we're talking all about cover letters, and I was telling Gwen, I have a very, like, I wouldn't say unpopular opinion about cover letters. I'm very opinionated about cover letters because when people would come to specifically to our boot camp or, self-taught developer office hours, I found that a lot of folks were so I'm of the school of, like, especially when you're a junior candidate, send out as many resumes as you can. Like, I always tell all my mentees, like, 100 a day, 100 a week, however many you get exhausted by and you don't want to do anymore, because it's truly a numbers game. I hate to compare it to online dating, but truly, like, you can't expect to go on your first date and find your true love, right? Like, you got to swipe a couple times, right? And I feel very much that same way about sending out your information. So if you're going to go through and make an individual custom crafted cover letter for each company that you apply for, that's a lot of time. You're basically writing an essay per job application. If you're doing 100 a week, that's like 100 essays, right? So my advice here, and I'm going to see, Gwen, while I'm bringing up some of I bet I have some ghosts of resume or cover letters passed in my old drive here. But typically the way that I do this, and we can even walk through one here in a second, is mine's kind of like a Mad Lib, right? So, Michael, this is a great use case for this future startup that you're going to start here, because basically I just put, to whom it may concern, because you never want to be like, dear sir or ma'am, we want to be inclusive, of course, when we write a cover letter. And then I just have a fill in the blank for, like, the company name, because I'm saying the same thing every time I send a cover letter, which is, here's who I am, here's what I'm about, here's the kind of job I'm looking for, here's why I think I would be a good fit for your company. Like, those are really kind of the only 3 or 4 points that you need to cover in a cover letter, no pun intended. And I'll be honest, as a former recruiter, yes, cover letters are important. If a job application says cover letter requirement, take some time. People do read those, but I will say that the resume holds a little bit more weight for me than a cover letter. Cover letter kind of gives me more information about you, but I think in this, the year of our Lord 2021, I'm often looking at this person's LinkedIn or, like, looking at their website or whatever that may be. So, Gwen, how do you approach a cover letter?
I mean, just to follow up on that last point that you made, I feel like there's just so many other avenues that people can find more about you than a cover letter. Like you mentioned, LinkedIn, like a Twitter. People often have, like, professional Twitters or Instagram, just social media in general. That, I don't know, cover letters just don't make sense to me. With that being said, and like you mentioned, it is a game that we must play. So when it's required, I think I've always actually provided cover letters, but only very few roles have I been like, I'm actually sitting down and writing, like, a custom cover letter for this, right? Like, for example, I have my cover letter pulled up for this role that I'm in, for my cloud advocate role now. I remember taking time on that, like, really reading the description, really making sure that I'm making aware of, like, what I'm bringing to the table, why I want this, how I found out, and all that kind of stuff. But there's no way I would have done that for every single role. and especially to get like an automatic
Oh my God.
like rejection, and like after spending maybe like hours on a cover letter, no way.
I will
Definitely
never
not.
forget. I'm sure I've told this story on the show before, but it's worth repeating because I love to share failure stories because I feel like it helps other people when they experience these things.
Oh,
But I
definitely.
will never forget the first job I ever applied for. I love Fitbit, so like no shade to Fitbit, but I wear my Fitbit every day. I was this junior developer fresh out of my boot camp, and I was like, all right, gonna apply for my first job. Applied to Fitbit, like spent all this time on the cover letter, the resume, and was auto rejected like probably 20 minutes after I sent it. It was like very obvious that some recruiting software had filtered me through. And
Yeah.
that's like exactly what you said, Gwen. Like you want to make sure that you're spending your time in the right places. And I actually, this is a great comment from Brendan. I've taken the time to write one from scratch when I really feel passionately about the position. But yeah, template is everything. And
Exactly. It's
I
exactly
did
how I feel.
this. That's like always how I do this because I basically, like I said, I do a Mad Lib, like a fill in the blank situation. But I remember when I was going to my boot camp, we had a demo night where all these different companies came and we got to kind of present our final projects to them. And one of the companies was a drone company. And I really, Brendan, you were in this show. Brendan and I did a show together, a musical, where I was flying a drone backstage and annoying everyone. And I thought, oh, this would be such a fun video to like include in my cover letter to show like, oh, not only is she passionate about this role, but she's flown a drone before. Didn't so because crafted this like, oh, and by the way, like here's I really love drones and I'm passionate about them and here's a video of me. I didn't get an interview for that company. So that's like something that I think we've talked about on the show before that you want to be really careful about, and that I see happen with a lot of junior developers is people put all their eggs in one basket. They're like, I want to work at Microsoft, or I want to work at Facebook, or I want to work at one of these FANG companies, right? Or what do we call it now? Manga with
Mango.
Meta. Meta is now part of that universe. So be really careful of like, I don't know, just getting too emotionally attached to these things. And like, that's why I don't advise people to, unless like if I apply to like, I don't know, Broadway.com, because I used to have a theater background, maybe I'll spend some additional time on that, or a dream role per se. But use your time efficiently when you're applying for roles, for sure.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind that as you move up and you move into like the space and all that kind of stuff, like these things hold less and less weight, right?
Yeah.
And your resume sort of like becomes, and not even your resume to an extent. It's like more like your experience and stuff like that, right? Which is, I don't know. Well, you and I have spoken about how this whole process of getting hired is so like, it's such a mess.
It's so broken. I feel
Yeah.
like, there are so many amazing, incredible candidates. I mean, myself included, I'd like to say when I was a junior developer that like the door is just not open to a lot of folks, especially with non-traditional backgrounds, especially self-taught folks. So like, Gwen and I are obviously living proof that you can bang down the door, get inside. But I think it's important to note that like, I mean, Gwen, I'll be the first to admit, like, I've been rejected from so many jobs. Like, it's not like I just applied to Microsoft and like got the job. You even shared on a previous episode that this time was your second time
Third
applying?
time. This is my third time.
Yeah. So very much like here to living proof. I mean, I must have applied for like, from when I was applying for a junior developer evangelist role, I probably applied to like 300 jobs, y'all. Like I was just hustling. And truly, it's just like Gwen said, like as you get further in your career, like I'm now a senior developer advocate, like you will now get jobs through your network, and like you won't even need a cover letter. So like it's a very antiquated, like literally when I think of a cover letter, like that's literally what it is, right? Like it's a letter on top of your physical resume with a paperclip. Like that's how I think
It's
of it in my
2021.
head.
Like why is that? Like why is it a thing? Like
we're gonna disrupt the interviewing space, Gwen.
Emmett says the whole process stinks and it's not fair for people who are working full time as well. That's true because it takes a lot of time to like be applying. I mean, applying has become easier. Like how LinkedIn has like apply with LinkedIn and it'll fill in a lot of stuff, or sometimes just automatically send out your resume from there, which is fantastic. But still, it's like you mentioned, it's like the door isn't. It's not only that the door isn't open, it's like it's closed for some people and it also moves.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's a moving target. And like, I also feel like the industry, like, I don't know, it's interesting because the industry has adapted and changed a little bit, and that like, I see I see quote unquote innovation happening in the interview space, right? Or like
Mhm.
we're doing less whiteboarding, we're walking through more projects together for these kind of interviews. So like there are it's slow incremental change in the industry, but or like I think I mentioned on a previous stream, when I was applying for jobs like hardcore as a junior developer, there was this I think it's like an API or a service called Lever.
Mm.
But anytime I was applying for a job and they had Lever, I was like, great, I don't have to upload my freaking resume and cover letter again, because like we've talked about this on previous streams, it is so like uploading a cover letter is just kind of like copy paste or point and click, right? But like
Yeah.
having to like it is 2021. Please, for the love of Clippy, stop making
Stupid
people
Clippy.
manually input their resumes into like recruiting software. Like
Yeah,
I
it's so
can't.
I don't understand. It's anyway, back to cover letters.
Yes.
Do we
back
want to
cover
show
letters.
some examples? Because, as much as we have opinions on how they suck or may not suck or whatever it is, there's still a thing that's somewhat required. So let's give some tips or
Yes.
maybe show some examples. How about that? Or we have some URLs as well.
We have some URLs. So what I figured, do you have some sample ones, Gwen? Because we can share a couple of yours and I can search for mine as well.
I
But
have
we
my,
did.
yeah, let me pull some up.
Here's some resources we're gonna just show you and walk you through real quick. So this one is aka.ms. I'll drop these into the chat. / how can I help links for a and this one is a handy dandy little resource that we found on the Microsoft 365 blog, and this is how to write a great cover letter for a job. So we'll just like quickly go through here. So, oh, look, they have 3 bullet points too. Explanation for why you're applying for the role, a description of how your past work history makes you an outstanding candidate, and a hint of your soft skills and ability to adapt to a new work culture. I love that.
Solid framework right there.
Ooh, look, question of the hour. Why is having a good cover letter important? They're optional for some applications. In the current tight job market, employers try to make it easier for people to apply for their positions. However, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't write one. Yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. 10 tips. Ooh, let's break down these tips. Address your recruiter or hiring manager by name.
I was
Okay,
going
I'm
to
going to
say
say
that
no.
is that's a hard one because sometimes it's not very easy to like figure out. Then you got to go poking around and like
If you have a contact, go for it.
yeah, absolutely. If you know it, absolutely. Right.
But I would stick to, I don't like sir or ma'am, it's not inclusive. To whom it may concern is usually my go-to
Yeah.
for these. Let's see, link your history to the job description. Okay. Show, don't tell. Okay, show them instead of telling your audience. Give examples. I like that. Create a story. Okay, yes. Use appropriate, approachable tone. Okay, I will say when I applied to, I want to say Yelp. Yes, it was like one of my first jobs out of college. I was like, I'm a rock star candidate, and you want me to work there, and I did get the job. So read the room. If you're applying for
Read the room.
Disneyland, maybe a little different. Actually, no, still be professional for Disneyland. John Papa can sound off in the comments if he's tuning in. Ooh, insert your personality.
Personality
Okay.
insert here.
What would you put to insert your personality, Gwen?
I feel like with me, it's more of like the overall, like the tone and maybe keeping it concise because I'm sort of just like a concise kind of person. And we'll see in like my examples.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like straight to the point kind of thing. I feel like that would be that's the way that I insert my personality.
So if anybody registered for this event on the Microsoft Reactor Reg page, I try to put my personality into all of my writing, from like my tweets to my bio, and I always include like a little pun or a joke somewhere in my bio. I think the one I currently have is she's probably one of the only engineers who's played the back end of a cow, an ogre, and like I don't know, something else, because that's really who I am on the job. Like, and I have that flexibility with my role to bring my authentic personality and self to work. So I feel like I would maybe go a little overboard with that. Pull myself back. Ooh, good question. What's the right tone for Microsoft? Well, I would say, so one of the key kind of values that we have here at Microsoft is to bring your authentic self to work. And
genuinely. It sounds cliche, but it really is the truth.
I think it's what makes working with a lot of people here just like so enjoyable and wonderful, because there's such a like wide array of human personalities, and we all work together to like create really amazing things. So I would say, Jamie, whatever you think your tone is,
use that.
Should be the tone you apply.
Just don't be disrespectful. That's pretty much it.
Don't be rude. Don't be rude. That's like rule number one in applying. Don't be rude.
Right.
Oh yeah, good point, Michael. Might depend on the type of role. That's very true.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I feel like you would be aware of the type of roles that you're going for, and like which way you should like sort of speak of yourself. So I think like trust your gut.
Yeah.
Here's a funny one. I figured that all managers are called Chris.
I don't think I've ever had a manager named Chris.
I have. I've had two.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Here's before you move on, I wanted to address this one. Interviewing should not be a numbers game. It is about communicating your skills that fit a specific role and company. A generic template, though easier to write, just does not fit all situations. I think in a perfect world, this is what we would want it to be, where it's like about communicating your skills, about actually showing, what you're capable of doing and stuff like that. But when, it's the actual like landing a role is like such a hard game to play. It's it does end up being like a numbers game, right? Because like when you're applying, you don't instantly get a chance to show off your skills when you're applying. Sometimes you get like automatically rejected.
And not all of us have the luxury of being choosy, right? Like especially when you're a junior candidate and you don't have the experience. I found this happening a lot with I would mentor folks who were either they're just starting out their career and they're like, I'm just not getting any interviews. And I was like, well, what's your process? And they would say, well, I really want to work for a nonprofit that works with trees and bugs. And I'm like, great, that is rounding your pool down quite a bit. So if you're, that's very much limiting your options. So if you have the luxury to be choosy, like absolutely, Joe, like I say, go for it, like craft that cover letter to a T. Exactly. But if you, don't, if you're just starting out, absolutely like sending out more is always like cast a big net, so to speak, to like catch a lot of fish. This is a good
definitely. And like also just wanted to say like oftentimes like the roles that are the companies don't necessarily carry either. Like it's just such a hard to give general advice in terms of like you should be specific for every single role, because someone mentioned that I'm applying and I'm also working full time. Like, well, if you're working full time and you have 2 hours a day to sort of be applying, would you rather apply to one custom role, like, or would you rather apply to as many as you can?
That's a great
right?
point. Gwen froze. Oh no, Gwen's back. Okay, maybe it was me. Absolutely, I agree with all those points, and I think that at that day you just really want to use your time efficiently. And the other side of it is hiring is exhausting too. Ain't that the truth, Mike? It can be a full-time job alongside your existing roles too. Yeah. And also, I think it's important to note, and people can sound off in the chat about this, is people get jobs in so many ways. Like I think about my career in tech, and I've gotten jobs through referrals, through people seeing me give a talk, through going to a meetup or a networking event. Like in the current age of the internet, like there's so many ways, that someone will refer you or you hear about a role. Like there's not a one size fits all for all of this. So obviously take all of our advice with a grain of salt. It's all based on our own experience. But yeah. Joe says the other problem is getting past the quirks of a candidate tracking system. Absolutely. That may choke on fancy formatting on your resume. If you watch some of our previous episodes, Joe, I talk about a literal experience that I had at a previous company where a person could not apply for a role at my company with the degree that I also had because it wasn't part of the drop down. So like making sure that your recruiting processes are inclusive is important.
Matters.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I love this one. Leave out what you can. I need this. I need to self-edit a lot. You don't want to overwhelm your readers with information. They can ask. So this really speaks to that whole like keep your resume to one page thing. Like you don't need to put everything in there. Same with cover letters. End with the call of action. For me, I usually put like, I really look forward to the opportunity and hope you'll consider me for this position. What's your call to action, Gwen?
I'm always like, thank you for your consideration. I hope to hear from you soon, or can't wait to talk to you soon, or something like that.
TTYL.
Talk to
Love ya. Yeah, I mean, just like a sign off that, I mean, clearly, see, this is what Gwen and I were talking about before the stream is like, the annoying thing about cover letters is like, obviously, you know why I'm sending this. I want this
I
job.
want the job.
So, like, it seems so redundant. Like, cover letters always annoy me so much because I'm like, why am I writing a letter with my intent? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about this on our resume episode, but it's worth noting that as a recruiter, and I always think it's funny. I see this on a lot of junior resumes where there'll be kind of a statement of intent on it, where it's like, my purpose for this resume is to get a job, and it's like, well, yeah, like, this is what the resume is for, not for just for me to peruse in my own time. Coordinate your letter with your resume. You can coordinate your cover letter with your resume. Ensure both documents use similar language. Okay. You can ensure the design matches for extra touch. I like that.
Okay, that's a nice tip. Yeah, I would say.
Same font is always good. Yeah. Okay, so that link, if people want to check out that article, that's the one that we're showing below. We also have a couple more links that I'll share over here. Let me make it our little thing. We also have aka. Oh, we got double banners. Wow. Okay. aka.ms/how can I help links for B. This is one that we found over on the Microsoft support page, which looks like it's got some great bullet points as well. Contact info, lead with a strong opening, tailored approach, tell something your resume couldn't. I love that. If this is like your opportunity to brag, really, in your voice, so to speak.
Your personality.
Showcase your strengths. This is all great. And I will add, do you have a cover letter that you want to share, Gwen? I can search my my archives here, see if I have one. We also have this one for any interns. Let me first drop a link to 4B in the chat so people can check that out.
Let me just make sure I cross out my personal information.
Yeah, no one creep Gwen, please. That's been the one danger of doing this stream, is a stranger danger and forgetting to block out our contact info. Okay, let me add this one and hide this one. Okay, so here is the one for interns. This is aka.ms/how can I help links for C. I'm curious what the here, I'll drop this in the chat real quick, but I'm curious what the difference would be between an internship and a regular one. Let's see. Look at this intern. He's applying on a
interning.
He's interning. 5 key tips. Okay. Wait, is this the same article? Wait a second.
I think there's an area here that talks about like
proofread. Okay, that's different. Okay, it is different. I was like
what to list. What's the difference between a cover letter for an internship and a role? I think that was in a job, actually. I think that was a good part. That was a little different.
Yeah. This is good. Because, yeah, when you're doing an internship, you probably don't have a lot of experience on your resume to begin with. So you're kind of like I even struggled with this when I was making the transition into tech, where I was like, how do I leverage my experience at the Disney store to like a job at Microsoft? Great question. We'll get to that on another episode. But links between your past activities and your current interests. So that's interesting, like extracurricular activities, maybe like social clubs that you're part of at your university, perhaps. How the internship will help you achieve future goals. Okay. It's good advice. Let's see if these are different. Reference the exact role name. That one's good. I like that one. I don't like the name but I do like the role name. Like, I am interested in blah 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 role. Relevant class and activities. Okay. Show how your skills connect with this internship. So that's kind of like my drone example that I gave. Oh my gosh. I'm going to tweet out that video later just
Please
for Brendan
do.
North.
I need to.
Truly, Gwen, oh my gosh. So I had this little tiny drone that I think I got off of like Wish or something, and I was flying it around backstage, and I was annoying everyone, and I was like, you know what, this is gonna be worth it because it's gonna give me this job. It did not get me an interview. Ooh, and let's see what else. Say what you want to get out of the experience. That one's really good. I
That's a
think
good
even
one.
for a non-intern one, this is really good. Like, I
Yeah.
want to grow in this role in X ways. Proofread. Oh my gosh, this is so important, fam. This is so okay. Former recruiter here, speaking up to say, if I look at your cover letter and it's a mess, and I'm not talking about if you use Comic Sans, I don't care. Like, use whatever font. But if you misspell, like, okay, first of all, I want to say no shame in accidentally sending a cover letter with the wrong company name in it. We've all done it before. It happens, okay? But if I'm reading your cover letter and it's a mess, and I'm like, this person like, if I think that Alien wrote this, please proofread. Don't misspell the company name. I've seen that so many times when I used to hire for like contracting positions. Just like, I know the temptation is just like do it, but proofread twice and then do it again. Truly.
I got an example of one of mine if we want to pull it up.
It is, yes. Here, share your screen. And oh my gosh, Brendan North says, I can distinctly remember this drone. A lot of people were very upset with me about this drone. Look at this beautiful font, Gwen. Oh,
let me zoom in here. I can read it. It's not that. Like,
read it.
long.
I wanted a dramatic reading, please.
So I knew the hiring manager, so I put that person's name in here.
Okay.
But that's why it's like highlighted out. I guess not highlighted out, black, whatever it is. So anyway, my name is Gwen, and I'm currently a training architect at 8 Cloud Guru, Azure MVP, and YouTuber. And these are all links you can click to, like, that was my 8 Cloud Guru profile, that was my Azure MVP profile, and then my YouTube channel. So you can click directly into those things.
That's a great point too, that now that everything's online, you now have the option to like link to these things. Like a short link goes a long way.
Absolutely. I focused on making cloud learning more accessible and less daunting for everyone. For context, this is for my cloud advocate role that I'm in now. This is exactly what I sent.
This is a working cover letter, y'all.
Yeah.
This one is proven to work.
Absolutely. I started my tech career as a help desk analyst. The infrastructure team introduced me to AWS, and since then, the cloud learning hasn't stopped. It's opened opportunities for my family and me. Now my mission is to introduce more of my community to the cloud. So this sort of aligns with like providing some sort of context to who you are, like what you do, who you are, and then why you're interested in the role is like the following paragraph. Once I saw the cloud advocate role open, I immediately applied. It's been a dream role of mine for a while now. I know a few advocates on the team, and they've been instrumental to my career growth and becoming an Azure MVP, and I'd like to do this to be the same for others. I'd like to help Microsoft continue to educate the community and further diversity in the tech space as a cloud advocate, and hope to hear from you soon. Sincerely, Gwyneth Peña-Seguenza.
Standing
and
ovation.
I got the job.
Standing ovation. Okay, a couple things I freaking love about this. First of all, and I think this is a tip that everyone should do, read your cover letter aloud, and if it doesn't sound like your language, write it in your voice, because that felt so authentic. This is Gwen's monologue now for auditions. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what I love about it, is like, I know Gwen personally. All of this is true. Like, none of this feels so I just had to go through a bunch of applications for something, not at Microsoft, but I couldn't help but notice that, like, you can tell when, especially with students, like if this is if you're applying for a junior role or an internship and you're using these like big words that I don't even know what they mean, write it in the actual language you want to do it in. So I love the authenticity of this, Gwen. I love that, like, you talk about your experience. You clearly in paragraph, I guess, like, it's not paragraphs, but like part 3 here, you say like, oh, like, I'm very aware of this community. I know people in this space. Like, I'm very excited about this role. So this is one of those cases where, like, doing a custom letter, and I'm assuming you did that for this role.
Yeah, definitely.
Really makes a difference. My time.
Yeah.
And did you do that for all of the roles you're applying for? How did you kind of approach
absolutely
that?
Not. I knew because I've been wanting this role for a while, like I mentioned in this letter, and I knew that it was going to probably be like, oh, you got one shot. So I really sat down. I sort of like just did a brain dump, and then I like kind of like cross-referenced with a couple of friends who knew me and like maybe family members like, hey, does this sound like me kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it definitely took me a couple of hours. But this is definitely not the same amount of work I've put into other cover letters. This is definitely the one that I've spent the most time on. But it worked out. So
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, Brendan, this is such a great example. This is like perfect length because also remember, recruiters are just like going through hundreds of candidates often. And like, if I see something like this, my eyes are like, oh, great. I'm not going to be here for like 25 minutes reading this person's personal essay.
right.
And I also think that like also I had this idea when you were reading this aloud, Gwen. I think if you're looking for ideas for what to record for your LinkedIn video, you should just do the first 2 parts of this. That's
Yeah.
probably 30 seconds. The like, my name is Gwen. Here's what I do. This is how I started my career. And now my mission is to introduce more of the community to the cloud. Like,
I
and
love
scene.
it.
That's your
Yeah,
script.
I'm totally gonna do it now. I'll show y'all next stream.
That's gonna be our big reveal next week. Wait, what is our episode next week? It's we should tease it in the last couple minutes that we have.
We do have a few minutes. I was about to say let's make sure people are aware of what's going on. But overall, to summarize cover letters, some jobs require them. Let's switch back to like one of these. Some jobs require them, and if you really, really want the role, then you should put in the time to do a custom cover letter because it could make a difference. I know it made a difference in for me. But then again, don't be afraid to send out one that's sort of like a template because it could also be a numbers game. But just remember to have the proper company name, the proper role.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, truly, you would not believe how many... Like, I wasn't even a recruiter for that long, y'all. And I used to see the most... Sometimes people would, like, instead of a cover letter, like, upload a picture of their cat. And I'd be like, what is happening? Like, I didn't even know we accepted JPEG format for this. So, just, like, I don't know, double, triple check. What I like to do is when I save different versions of my cover letter, I put, like, CV, you know, Microsoft or like CV, Facebook, whatever it is you're applying for. So, and then I have saved copies of those within my drive where I can be like, oh, okay, like I can rework this in the future and save everything. Like truly, like Gwen and I have talked about this on a previous episode, but there's something like so nostalgic and fun about like, and I just go to my sent folder like from way back in the day in my inbox of like my early college applications are so cringy, but like I'm like, wow, look at the growth.
Yeah.
Let's see next week.
Yeah, what do we got next week?
Today. Ooh, phone
screen. That's a good one.
Gonna have to open up with like Lady Gaga telephone. And okay, we're gonna keep each other accountable. By next week, we will debut our LinkedIn.
Oh, totally.
We'll play with the feature. We'll make our LinkedIn videos. I'm leaning towards. I'm torn, y'all. Sound off in the chat. Do I do a Rickroll? Like, do I just do like a very serious professional, like, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn, and there's like, never gonna give you up. Or do I sing something? Also tempting. Or I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of like opportunity here to like get really creative with it. So tune in next week for that exclusive. Phone screens, real quick, Glenn. How do you like phone screens?
I feel like I'm always hit or miss because I don't know. It's hard for me to read the room when it's just the phone screen. I'm like, I never really know how much should I say about myself and that kind of stuff. And it's always like the person who's doing it, it's always hit or miss as well. It's like, oh, are you engaged? Is this just another call for you? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. What I like about phone screens is I'm very expressive, if you couldn't tell. As Brendan North said, I put the B in subtle. I like phone screens because if I totally mess up, if it's on the phone, I can just be like I can just like freak out.
I see what you're saying.
So I actually kind of appreciate it. But what's interesting is like I would imagine during the pandemic, maybe most phone screens are video calls.
Yeah, like,
let us know.
I would assume that too.
But I do remember when I was doing, I think all of my, I remember one of my first like big interviews was for the Google Engineering residency program, and I kind of appreciated that when I was whiteboarding, it was over the phone, because then they couldn't see me just like breaking a sweat.
Like crying.
Ooh, Mike says, "Can you do a dramatic reading of a Rickroll?" For you, Mike, absolutely. I will prepare my monologue for you next week. Start each sentence of the video with a Rickroll lyric. Okay.
I wanted to bring this up. Great session earlier today, Chloe.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed all the dog pictures. It was really fun tabulating data that with such adorable dogs. Thank you, Daniel. That's so sweet. Oh my goodness, it's the end of the show.
It's the end of the show.
Well, in conclusion, also that's another thing. Like, be really aware of, like, just like what I loved about Gwen's cover letter that she showed earlier was there's all this sort of like, I don't know, not technical jargon, corporate jargon, like to whom it may concern, and like in conclusion. Like, what I loved about your letter is that it felt authentic and actually something that I could see you reading. And I think the more you can be in anything you do authentic, the better chance you're going to get at getting the role. Like, if you're whiteboarding and you're like, I know how to do this, and you don't, but you're like, actually, I don't know how to do this, but like, let me figure this out.
Yeah.
Night and day difference.
Yeah. Set yourself up for success by being who you are. That way you don't have the pressure of trying to act, right? Because it doesn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, all the world's a stage, but it gets exhausting pretending to be someone else. All right. Should we close with our song?
Gotta end with a slapper.
All right. We'll see you all next week with our LinkedIn professional videos on our LinkedIn. And until then, we will see you on next week's episode.
Bye.
Okay, I hope. Bye.